I'm Hillel Neuer with UN Watch, and we're standing outside the United Nations Human Rights Council, where we just had the quadrennial review of Iran, where the country presented its human rights record to the international community, and there was a dialogue back and forth. I'm joined with Sepideh, a journalist and a human rights activist from Iran. Sepideh is someone who was imprisoned for her activities in Iran, where she wrote about government crackdowns, and she was trying to promote human rights. Sepideh, maybe we can begin. You could tell us a little bit about how long you were in prison for, and what your experiences, how you suffered in prison.
من البته اگر بخوام راجع به آخرین دستگیری بگم، چون زمانی که 20 سالم داشتم دوبار دستگیر شدم و یک بار 2 هفته توی یک بازداشتگاه مربوط به نیروی مسلح بودم، 2 هفته هم در از اما 110 روز آخرین بازداشتم توی 8 سال 86.
So it all depends if I want to talk about all of my arrests or not, because when I was 20 I was arrested twice, and I was held in a prison that was related to the armed forces. But more recent, I was arrested and I was kept in Evin prison for 110 days.
And in prison, did you experience anything in particular, just in prison? Were you mistreated in any way while you were in prison?
اگر بخوام بگم شکنجه فیزیکی نبود، ولی اونقدر از لحاظ روحی روانی این نوع جدید شکنجه که توی ایران در قبال فعال مدنی انجام میشه و قانون بشر شدید بود که من بارها بازجو گفتم تو خدا من شلاق بزن، خدا من بزنی، ولی اینقدر من رو عذاب ندید چون که من دیوونه کنید. یعنی طور شد که من بعد از زندان مجبور شدم روزی 22 و 24 تا قرص بخورم بعد روانی که دوچارش شدم و فشارهای شدید زندان به وارد شدم.
They did not physically torture me in prison, but there was definitely psychological torture. So this is something that they have been doing recently, that when they arrest human rights activists, they would put a horrendous amount of pressure on them in various ways. They threaten. So after everything that happened in prison, I was kind of wishing that they would actually beat me physically than all the psychological torture that they did to me. And it was so bad that after I was released from prison, daily I would have to take somewhere between 22 to 24 pills to just counter those effects.
Well, you just sat here as someone who was in prison and who had suffered from the regime. You just sat here for 3 hours while Mohammad Larijani and others told the world that Iran has a wonderful, great, superb human rights record, and many countries, Bangladesh, Yemen, Syria, said the same thing. How did you feel sitting there while these things were being said?
مسلمه که این چیزی که آقای لاریجانی و بقیه اعضایی که همراهش بودن بالکل اینقدر دروغ بود، اینقدر بزرگ بود که انکار کردنش شاید حتی مشکل باشه. یعنی اینکه تو این حجم کسی بتونه مغلطه بکنه، بتونه حقایق رو بپوشونه، بتونه اون چیزی که داره میگذره وارونه جلوه بده تو ایران، برای خود من هم یه جورایی شوک‌آور بود و هم اینکه ای کاش زمان اینقدر زمان بود و اینقدر فرصت بود برای ما که بتونیم جواب بدیم به این دروغ‌ها و به این سبزده کردن‌هایی که
when Mr. Larijani was speaking, the lies that he was telling the world were just so big and so difficult to comprehend that they absolutely shocked me. I could not understand how could an individual twist and turn the truth and pretend that big, horrendous lies are actually facts, that it was just beyond my understanding, and I could not fathom how this could even be. And I just wish that there was more time and that we could actually respond to such outrageous claims.
به عنوان یه نمونه مشخص پرونده ریحان جباری رو که آقای لاریجانی مطرح کرد، من نمیخوام وارد بحث پیش باشم، ولی این دروغ بزرگی که تو همین یه نمونه ایشون گفتن این بود که اعدام ریحانه رو فرافکنی کردن به رسانه‌ها و فعالین حقوق بشر که تلاش خودش اکثرش 90%شون تلاش کردن که ریحانه رو از مرگ نجات بدن و به دروغ گفتن که شاید اگر رسانه‌ها نبودن پس ریحانه زنده بود. در صورتی که درست چند روز قبل از ریحانه یک پسری که فقط 14 سالش بود، یعنی یک کودک بود و مرتکب قتل به طور مسلم یک پسر 14 ساله قتل عمد نمی‌کنه، یک قتل غیر عمد شده بود. درست چند روز قبل از ریحانه آقای اسم فردین جعفریان اعدام شد. فردین جعفریان رو هیچ کس نمی‌شناسه، هیچ کی راجع پروندهش نمی‌دونه، مثل ریحانه اسمش معروف نیست ولی خیلی کوچکتر از ریحانه قتل اعدام شد. آقای لاریجانی این پاسخ نمیده که سقوط خانواده جعفریان آیا باعث نجات شد.
One of the things that Mr. Larijani brought up that completely didn't make any sense, it was that he spoke about Rehane Jabari and that Rehane Jabari was really, he basically blamed the execution of Rehane Jabari on foreign media and on Western propaganda. This is what he was really doing. He said that if Western media and human rights organizations, they had not created so much publicity around the Rehane case, maybe the family would have forgiven her and she would not have been executed. Well, my argument here is that just days before Rehane was executed, a 14-year-old boy whose name was Fardin Jafarian, he was executed because when he was 14, he was not 14 anymore, he had been in prison for a few years, but when he was 14, he committed a crime and he accidentally killed one of his friends. And there was absolutely no publicity around him, probably because the family had been threatened not to make noise, but there was no publicity around that. There was no foreign media, there was no Western propaganda, there were no human rights organizations talking about the case, but yet this child who accidentally killed somebody, nevertheless, was executed. So how does Mr. Larijani explain that case is beyond?
Now, is there anything else you want to share with us? You're someone who is a journalist, you're a human rights activist, you have a blog about everything that's happening in Iran. Is there anything else from what happened there this morning that you would like to add to it and make any comments at all about what happened today?
من به عنوان یک کسی که میخوام نشون بدم که گروه‌های آقای لاریجانی چقدر بزرگ هست، سعی می‌کنم مصداق بیارم، یعنی مصداق مشخص کنم. ایشون در حالی از آزادی‌های سایر اقلیت‌های مذهبی به دروغ در ایران صحبت می‌کنه، مثل یهودیان، مثل مسیحیان، زرتشتیان، که همین چند وقت پیش بود، کمتر از 3 هفته، 4 نزدیک بیشتر از 1 ماه پیش بود، آقای محسن امیراسلانی که یک مسلمان معتقد کاملا وفادار به اسلام بود و هیچ کار سیاسی هم نمی‌کرد، روانشناس بود، تنها به خاطر تفسیر متفاوت از قرآن و برداشت متفاوت از قرآن نه توحید اعدام شد، در حالی که مدارک بسیار زیادی در دست هست و خانواده‌اش ارائه دادن و بسیاری از فعالین مدنی رو پذیرفتن که دیوان عالی بارها حتی رد کرده بود، نقض کرده بود حکم اعدام، اما به دلیل کاملا سیاسی این فرد رو به طور ناگهانی اعدام کردن، در حالی که به خانواده‌اش تقریبا قول داده بودن که حکم اعدامش اجرا نخواهد شد و شوکه شدن خانواده‌اش بعد از این قضیه. چطور ممکنه یه همچین کسی باید بگه بقیه ادیان تو ایران آزادن در صورتی یک نفر مسلمان و معتقد ظرف 1 ماه پیش اعدام شد؟
Mr. I would like to actually, when I speak about the lies that Mr. Larijani and the Iranian delegation they tell, I would like to make some examples of that. For example, he's talked about the freedom of religious minorities. in Iran. And that is a lie, because we know that a little bit more than a month ago, Mr. Mohsen Amir Asnani, he who was a believer in Islam, this is a well-known fact that he believed in Islam, but only that his interpretation of the Quran, some parts of the Quran, was different than the established interpretation within the government of Iran. And simply because of that, again, it's a known fact that he did not do anything political, that he did not do any illegal activities against the government, but simply because of his religious beliefs, even though he was a Muslim, he just had a different interpretation for it. He was executed, even though his family had been told that he would not be executed, and it was an absolute shock to them, and even the Supreme Court had expressed worries about the case and that such execution would be unlawful, basically, but yet suddenly he was executed, and we believe that it was basically for political reason that his execution took place.
Is there anything else you want to share with us? Any final words or reactions from today?
من فکر می‌کنم که کشورهایی که بینوعی موضع خنثی میگیرن در مورد ایران یا حالا تشویق میکنن ایران رو در دارای منافع اقتصادی شریک با حکومت ایران هستن و خب به طور مسلم مسئله حقوق بشر براشون کوچکترین اولویتی نداره. وگرنه من بعید میدونم که این اخبار وحشتناکی که در مورد حقوق زنان، قوانینی که داره هر روز علیه زنان داره قضیه برای زنان در به تصدیق میرسه و حتما به گوش رسانه‌های ما و افراد حکومتی ما میرسه، اینها رو نشنوم. این خیلی به نظر من کاملا سیاسیه و مسلما اگر ما توی دیالوگ و بحث با آنها قرار بگیریم به ما در شما خواهم گفت ما با شما موافقیم، ولی این دیپلماسی ماست و منطقه اقتصادی ماست که ترجیح داره باشه. مسلما توی دایره سیاسی با آنها خواهم گفت. من اطمینان دارم اگر یک ذره وجدان داشته باشه اینقدر مدرک در این مورد هست.
There are certain countries that, as we saw today, they don't exactly take sides when it comes to Iran's terrible record when it comes to human rights, or they kind of, support Iran, but not exactly. And many of them, from what I understand, they have this position simply because they have some economic ties with Iran. So it is a matter of economy, it is a matter of money, that in a diplomatic, political manner, they decide to make this decision not to speak out, even though probably if we ever were to speak privately with them, they would whisper to us that they are aware of Iran's terrible record when it comes to human rights, because it is impossible in this day and age for any of these governments to be totally unaware of the terrible things that are going on in Iran, for example, especially when it comes to women's rights. This is basically common knowledge, but yet they would refrain from speaking out about these things. And this, on an international level, I can understand that this is a diplomatic position. It is understandable, but at the same time, what it shows to the world is a lack of conscience, and that is not forgivable.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for joining us.